everyone, my name is Squiddy Boy Productions, and I just wanted to make this video to clear up some things going on with the Wings of Fire devs right now, because I've seen some misinformation, and if you saw my comment on Bellasaurus's community post, I kind of wanted to amend a little bit what I said in that initial comment. For context, I saw the news very late last night at 11 a.m., which is 11 p.m., sorry, which is ironically enough when I'm recording this. So, I basically made a lot of stuff in the heat of the moment, just wasn't thinking through it, so I kind of want to clear things up. So, for context on what happened, Arch, the leader of the Talons of Peace Discord and the Talons of Peace, I guess, group, who are the developers of Wings of Fire Beta, recently announced that they fired two developers. Bellasaurus, who is a prominent Wings of Fire Beta YouTuber, and really the main person that I found out the game through, and also Bizzlemip, who also was an important developer in terms of coding for the game. The reason that they were fired was because both people uploaded and sent basically unverified content on screenshots of development to people they were not allowed to. Even they have been told multiple times by Arch not to do this, and by the lead admin Thrush from the Talons of Peace Discord server, but despite being told repeatedly about how their actions would impact them and how technically they were breaching contract with the deal that they made with the Talons of Peace, such as when they made that deal, they basically stated that they were not allowed to share any developmental work with anyone, pretty much, but Bellasaurus and Bizzlemip went behind Arch's back and did it anyway with their friends. Even though it was privated and in a private kind of DM, it still violated Arch's terms of service, and because of that, they were fired. I wanted to make that clear that it was both Bellasaurus's and Bizzlemip's own fault for doing this. They were told many times over not to do this, and they chose to anyway. I watched Bellasaurus's videos, and I saw some people in the comments trying to defend her, and the way she kind of tried, in her community post, she tried to make it seem like Arch was the one who was acting kind of, I guess, aggressive, or the one who was being unreasonable. Now that I have this content and seen from Arch's perspective, I definitely do think that they did something that was not right. The fact, and also what's bad too, is that Bellasaurus's mainly, her audience is mainly minors. And I know that often when you're a minor, you're willing to try to go tooth and nail to protect your favorite creator because you see them as your idol. So I just feel like she was kind of being disingenuous with the truth. And it actually really hurts me as a Bellasaurus fan, and I honestly might stop watching her content. But besides that, she broke terms of service, so did Bizzlemip, so they were fired. So what happens now? Well, a few things are going to happen. First off, anything that Bellasaurus made, primarily she worked on maps and remodels, that is not going to get changed. Arch did mention, though, that any code that Bizzlemip has worked on will be removed per Bizzlemip's request. She went to Arch and requested that all her coding be removed. And because of that, the game is going to experience a pretty decent rollback on certain aspects. Not everything. The game's not shutting down. Even though she said it could temporarily shut down, that's in worst case scenario. I want to ease your worries. It's not going to shut down. Kind of what's going to happen is that the specific things that are actually going to get rolled back coding wise are going to be ages, the Leafwing model itself. The tribe could be temporarily disabled because mainly the leaf speak is what Bizzlemip worked on. The in-game character selection menu and some visual changes may be removed, but they will be re-added. Like in this video, as you can see, kind of the advanced lighting, that could potentially be removed, but they promise it will come back. The things that will not be affected by this rollback include save slots, the map, and this new C-Wing remodel coming out. And you may be like, well, that's not a big deal, it's only 2 developers. However, Roblox Wings of Fire Beta does not have many developers. In fact, originally it was only 2 developers. If I'm correct, it was Archeona and I don't remember the other developer's name, but I believe it was Archeona and maybe Arch who were the first, but then Archeona had to leave due to personal reasons. Just working on the game was a lot for her. If I'm correct, she's a student in college, so trying to work on the game just wasn't working out for her mental health, so she decided to leave the project and left it, basically the entire game, in the hands of Arch. And then Arch worked with Bizzlemith and Bellasaurus and Goldie Bays. Goldie Bays is still... Okay, I'm correct. Sorry, I'm just making sure I have my notes here. I'm trying to make sure I have everything right. Goldie Bays was not banned. But they're not banned. They're still working on the game. And Arch announced that... Okay, Corvair. I apologize. Corvair was one of the second founders of the game, along with Archeona. I just forgot the name. Corvair actually is coming back for a little bit to help finish the new update that's coming out. And I believe that new update does involve the C-Wing remodel, and I believe the color changes and stuff like that. And I also wanted to bring up, too, with this issue, the reason Velosaurus and Bizzlemith also were fired was not just because they broke terms of service, but also because they talked behind people's backs. For example, there is documented evidence of, I don't know who, but either one of them basically talking behind, like, the lead admin of the Discord, Thrush's back, kind of, or I believe it's more like their friends that they invited to the server were kind of talking behind her back. And also we're talking behind Arch's back as well, basically kind of saying that, you know, the reason Thrush is slow to respond is because because they're irresponsible, forgive me. But because they're irresponsible, and same with Arch. They're kind of also said the same thing, that they're irresponsible, can't manage the game well, and that just kind of some really nasty stuff. I'm not going to show any of the DMs for the sake of privacy, but I did kind of want to make that clear. They were fired for multiple reasons, and I believe there's also some reasons that Arch has not initially stated, so maybe we will find out for the next few days, within the next few days, but if not, please do not press Arch about the situation. I can tell just from reading their DMs that this situation really messed them up emotionally. I mean, it's hard when you have someone you put your trust into to go behind your back. And it's kind of even worse when you're on the outside and you don't really have a side in any of this, and it's just bad. I've had a roommate who had dealt with something very similar, and it's not good. I want to be frank, this is just not good. So, is Wings of Fire Beta gonna be alright? Pretty much, yes. I do want to dispel a few, I guess, rumors that have been spread about this situation. I don't know why they've started to be spread, but I do want to clear a few things up. Mainly the one myth that apparently, I don't know, was some rumor, I think that started in the Discord, where some people thought that, Wings of Fire Beta was going to become a mobile exclusive and that they would stop supporting the PC version. That is definitely false. Despite what I guess people are trying to say about Bellasaurus, she and Bizzlemith did break terms of service. They were aware of the situation multiple times. Arch and Thrush herself stepped in, had interventions with them multiple times. It was more than once. So they were violating their terms of service that they agreed to when they signed the contract to become the developer. Man, I really need to get to bed. But besides that, that's kind of really what's going on as of now. There could be more information that comes to light as the coming days go on. I just wanted to make a video kind of explaining the basics of what's happening and trying to provide a mostly neutral stance on the situation. But mainly I'm kind of making it to kind of reappeal the comment that I made, because I made that comment when I was very angry and I didn't know what was going on. And I guess I will further extend on some of my complaints. Some of the complaints that I kind of had in that comment was mostly my frustration with just kind of the lack of transparency between the players and the devs. If you've been on the game for as long as I had, it's pretty rough when the devs just don't tell players what is happening, and none of this inside stuff was known to us for a while. If you're not a part of the Wings of Fire Discord, it's really difficult to get news unless you watch Wings of Fire YouTubers. And the problem is, right now, Wings of Fire Beta YouTube is kinda at a stagnant standstill, mainly due to drama in the Discord from past events, such as the Honeycomb drama. I still don't know the full context of that, but it wasn't really good. And also, because of the lack of updates, definitely has kind of caused the game to kind of be at a standstill. Truthfully, the game kind of grew big really because it came out during COVID. It came out around the time COVID, so everyone was inside. That's when I started playing. And because of that, the developers just had more time. But as time went on and, we slowly started getting back to normal life, it's become much harder for the developers to do this. Especially when it's revealed, when there were only like 5 developers. Like, before Bizzlemib and Bevel Source were fired, there was like 5. And I made that comment with the assumption that their team was bigger, because the reason I believe that team was bigger was because Talons of Destiny, which was another Wings of Fire game that I really liked, they shut down because a lot of their developers actually came to this game. So I guess Talons of Destiny didn't have a lot of developers either. And that kind of made me frustrated, because then I expected that their team was like more than like 5 individuals. So I was thinking, oh, they're a bigger development team, they should have all this stuff out by now. But now that I actually checked the credits of the game and realized, no, there were only 5, but now like 2 of them. I now definitely understand why these updates have not come out yet. Coding takes a lot of time, and with them having to remove Bizzlemip's code, a ton of stuff that they added is they're gonna have to start from scratch all over again. As you see in the video right now with the moon kind of lighting, yeah, that was Bizzlemip's work. And now they're gonna have to go in and remove all that and start all over again. It's gonna take time. Essentially, I guess what I'm trying to say is to try to encourage others to be more patient with the devs, especially after this situation. They did not plan for this at all. They didn't plan for any of this stuff to happen. Their trust was broken, and they're gonna need some time to heal before they're able to get back, back into the swing of things. And also, too, college is gonna start soon, and I believe most of these developers are college age as myself. So they just may not have as much time to be able to update the game as quickly. I know we as players can get kind of impatient, especially when we're promised stuff and we're told that it's coming, but it gets delayed and delayed. But I think it's on us to try to keep the good attitude of the community, since right now the community is kind of struggling, just in terms of just kind of the lack of, YouTube diversity right now, because a lot of Wings of Fire YouTubers have left the scene mainly due to the lack of updates. So I think just being positive right now, especially during this tumultuous time, is very important. I did also kind of want to go back and clarify another thing I did say in that comment. Forgive me for a minute, I'm trying to find my screenshot of the comment I made. There we go. I guess also kind of my frustration of the lack of competitors, like Wings of Fire game competitors. Because for a while it seemed like there were going to be more Wings of Fire games, like Wings of Fire 7 Thrones, which was a combat-based game, and as mentioned, Talons of Destiny. And then there was another Wings of Fire game that has been in development. I think it's Wings of Fire The Journey. I have not heard much from that game in a long time, so I do not know the status of that game. But the reason I was kind of upset was mostly because of what happened to Talons of Destiny and how the game shut down because a lot of the developers left for this game. I think sometimes this game gets a lot of hate because it's the only Wings of Fire game right now that's popular. And a lot of the other players who are on this game came from Wings of Fire like Seven Thrones and Wings of Fire Talons of Destiny, and they loved those games. They wanted to support them, only to have them shut down just because this game was more popular. And that is understandable, but I kind of want to amend what I said. I don't really stand by that anymore. Even though this game just happens to be the most popular, I don't necessarily blame it for especially Talons of Destiny's failure. That was probably some other reasons going on, and I hold no grudges to the developers for making the decision that they did. Running a Roblox game, especially a live service game, is so difficult to do. And even trying to make a Wings of Fire game is very difficult because it's not an owned IP. People forget that sometimes. I mean, Arch and them can only work with what is canon, and they can't step over certain lines. So for context, a while back, you actually had to, like, pay Robux to get into the game because it was early access, but also pay Robux for certain other features, such as the Silkwing I'm playing as. You actually had to pay Robux to be the Pantalan tribes and have access to the Pantalan maps. Because the original plan is the game was that basically they would add all the maps for each of the 10 dragon tribes in the game, which has still not happened, but it's very understandable why. That it was very, very ambitious from the beginning, and unfortunately just reality came in and just kinda has, I don't want to say dashed it, but it's very much delayed it. But because of that, I don't know, I guess it kind of increased expectations of what they could do. But besides that point, essentially what happened was the publisher of the actual Wings of Fire books, Scholastic, they came in and were very upset with the game. They saw it as an infringement of their copyright, and they actually threatened to shut it down. It wasn't until the author of Wings of Fire, Tui Sutherland, got involved and was able to help keep the game up on the condition that they would remove any features that involved payment with Robux. So basically anything that cost money, they removed. Which is why in the game, everything is for free now. So yeah, they're very much walking on very thin eggshells to even be able to survive. So because of that, I don't want this game to shut down. I don't want it to shut down, to be clear. I've seen a lot of people trying to be negative and be like, oh, this game deserves to die because it's popular. Oh, this game deserves to die because of drama. But truthfully, I don't want that to happen. I want there to be change for good and for better, and I hope the devs can learn from this, and I hope we as a community can learn as well. Thank you so much for watching my mad ramblings at midnight on a Saturday evening. I just felt like I had to get this off my chest. If you enjoy more content, subscribe, and maybe I'll make more videos like this. I'm not done with this game. I love this game, and I think I'll continue playing. Goodbye.